Nigeria calls itself one nation, but beneath the anthem, beneath the green and white flag, there are questions the country has never fully answered. Questions about justice, about belonging, about a war that ended on paper, but never truly ended in memory. This is the true life story of Nnamdi Kanu, a man whose voice reignited the idea of Biafra, divided opinions across Nigeria, and forced a nation to confront its unresolved past. Nnamdi Kanu was born on September 25, 1967, in Umuahia during one of the darkest chapters in Nigeria's history, the Nigerian Civil War. The eastern region had declared independence as the Republic of Biafra, following ethnic killings, political exclusion, and the collapse of trust in the Nigerian state. What followed was a brutal war. By the time it ended in 1970, more than 1 million people, mostly Igbo civilians, were dead, many from starvation. Biafra lost the war and was reintegrated into Nigeria. The government declared no victor, no vanquished. But for many Igbo families, defeat did not end with surrender. Kanu grew up in post-war Nigeria, surrounded by stories of loss, abandoned properties, and broken promises. The war was over, but its consequences shaped daily life. As he grew older, he became deeply interested in politics, power, and identity, why some groups always seemed excluded from the system. He eventually traveled abroad and settled in the United Kingdom, where he studied political science. Distance did not weaken his attachment to Nigeria. Instead, it sharpened his criticism of it. In the early 2000s, his voice began to spread across southeastern Nigeria and the Igbo diaspora through Radio Biafra. From abroad, Nnamdi Kanu spoke with emotion and anger. He talked about marginalization, political imbalance, and economic neglect. He accused the Nigerian state of failing the Igbo people and demanded self-determination. His language was bold, sometimes extreme, but it resonated. Millions listened. To supporters, he was finally saying what had been suppressed since the Civil War. To critics, he was dangerous, divisive, and reckless. But one thing was clear: he had influence. Kanu emerged as the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. What began as a movement quickly grew into a mass mobilization. Biafran flags returned to the streets. Songs from the war era resurfaced. Young people, born decades after the conflict, embraced Biafra as an inherited identity. For many Igbo youths facing unemployment, police brutality, and political frustration, Nnamdi Kanu became a symbol of resistance and dignity. In October 2015, Nigerian security forces arrested him in Lagos. His arrest triggered widespread protests across southeastern Nigeria. Demonstrators demanded his release, calling him a political prisoner. Security forces responded with force. Clashes followed and lives were lost. Human rights organizations raised concerns over prolonged detention without trial and the killing of unarmed protesters. After nearly 2 years in custody, Kanu was granted bail in 2017 under strict conditions. But peace did not return. Following heightened military activity in the southeast, Kanu fled Nigeria and later resurfaced abroad. From exile, his tone became harder and more urgent. As insecurity increased in Igbo land, IPOB announced the creation of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, describing it as a self-defense group to protect local communities. The Nigerian government saw this as a direct threat. IPOB was declared a terrorist organization, and the conflict escalated. Sit-at-home orders shut down cities. Fear spread. Businesses suffered. Ordinary people were caught between loyalty, intimidation, and survival. In 2021, Nnamdi Kanu was rearrested abroad and returned to Nigeria under circumstances that sparked international controversy. Questions were raised about due process and human rights. Protests erupted once again, and the Biafra question returned to global headlines. Today, Nnamdi Kanu remains one of the most polarizing figures in Nigeria's modern history. To his supporters, he is a freedom fighter speaking for an oppressed people. To his critics, he is a destabilizing force whose methods have brought suffering to the southeast. But beyond the arguments lies a deeper truth. Nnamdi Kanu is not just a man. He is a mirror reflecting Nigeria's unresolved history, a mirror showing what happens when wounds are buried instead of healed, a mirror forcing a nation to confront questions it has postponed for decades. Whether Biafra ever returns or remains an idea, the questions he raised will not disappear. And until Nigeria answers them, the story of Nnamdi Kanu will never truly end.